Hi there, everyone. Welcome back for another episode of Fake Nerds Watch, where we are discussing Falcon and the Winter Soldier, episode 4, While the Whole World is Watching. It was quite an episode, and we're here to dig into it. I am Sparks Whitty. I am joined, of course, by Ryan Eliopoulos.
Hello.
And our friend Ben Magnet.
Hello there.
And unfortunately, this week, not with Brandon McClure. He is missing this episode's recording. But we will trudge on anyway and say the best things we have to say about this quite doozy of an episode.
It was a doozy.
Where do you guys want to start with this?
Man, let's start with Bucky crying.
Yeah.
Because
Good
I
call.
think again, like the complaint of like, yo, Winter Soldier doesn't really have a character, and this series is allowing him to be a character. That also means Sebastian Stan really hasn't been able to act as much as, an actor could. And baby, this episode starts with him like, can I have my Oscar, please? And it's like it's him dealing with his past of being like a cryogenic soldier, and like, can he get over this brainwash? And it's just excellent, you guys. Oh my gosh.
I love while I can't remember her name, but that member of the Dora Milaje, when they're in Wakanda.
Io. Now we know it's Io, not Ao.
Io? Okay. Mm-hmm. When Io is like saying like, look, I'm gonna make sure you're not gonna hurt anyone, and she does like the whole thing, and you see the flashbacks of Civil War, of the Winter Soldier movie, The Winter Soldier, like all these scenes of Bucky going through the torture and how they brainwashed him and how they activated him. And then he's sitting there and like her telling him, you're free. It's not gonna work anymore. I was like, just seeing him break down and cry is like, whoa, this is powerful stuff. This is really good.
Yeah. It's nice, like you said, to see Sebastian Stan get to actually flex his acting muscles, because I know he has them, having seen him in other things. Mm-hmm. But ever since Winter Soldier, they haven't been used very much.
Yeah.
A little, but not a lot.
He's very much like the emotionless, cold assassin guy, which is a character choice. But like when you're supposed to root for the guy, like you got to give me more.
He's got some good moments in Civil War, but like nothing that was like sending us like stuff in this show has been in specific.
Yes. But like the movie that his name is in the movie, he doesn't really have much character. I think.
No.
Which again, that movie rules, but like, Bucky's Bucky. But yeah, this like it's him dealing with the sadness, and like now we see why Io has come back and why that's important. And like she was his therapist in Wakanda, basically. Great going back to Wakanda. Like I know we speculated like how much more Wakanda are we gonna get? Definitely didn't expect this. I thought it was great. We'll talk about the stuff later. Mm-hmm. But this goes like directly in the more Karli stuff? I don't even remember.
I don't remember what order things happen in, but I really liked that we got to see all of that time back in Wakanda a bit.
He had his long hair, look natural, not
that
wig.
That mm-hmm. is where I think the show is working the best, and I think I'll launch from that into a general statement on this. Kind of cemented for me. Really enjoying the show, I am, but this did cement for me that this really feels like it's just a long movie rather than a show.
Yeah,
and that there's not enough being done with the fact that it is a television show. What I'll say by that is like I've seen a lot of this sentiment around on Twitter from some people, and I kind of agree with it. I really like having Zemo. Mm-hmm. Zemo is distracting, and I think if this show had time to allow all of the things to be explored that it wants to do and Zemo, then it would be fine. But because this feels like a long movie, he just feels like another thing, making this overstuffed and taking away from the main points of what we're supposed to be focusing on.
Yeah. Not
that he doesn't serve a good purpose. Not that I'm not enjoying it. I just think that because the format feels like it is just an extended film, rather than that it's catering to the television episodic format to use more time to develop all of these threads it wants to introduce, it just feels like we're getting more of a movie.
Yeah.
And we're just getting longer versions of that, but we're not getting the development that a television show would give. And it's so frustrating because I like it, but I'm like, man, I want you to be more than this.
I 100% agree. While still saying I really like the show.
Exactly.
Somebody said online, and again, like the John Walker arc, I think is really good. But somebody, I think Joshua Hale, who works at IGN, he put in a great tweet. Man, I really wish I had a TV show to develop all of this John Walker stuff. Is something I shouldn't be saying during a TV show, because like it's great, his arc's great, but like it's supposed to be a TV show. It's supposed to be drawn out. It's not supposed to feel like a movie snap. And for a lot of these characters, it does feel like where is the TV show like stuff that we got, like kind of like with WandaVision, like so much of that character development? It's kind of just feels like, again, this was their first one, and maybe it's good it wasn't their first outing.
Yeah.
You know,
it's tough because I really do feel like I'm sitting here like I feel like with 3 more episodes, everything you're laying down here could be properly developed and explored.
Yeah.
Like a 9-episode version of this would work.
Yeah.
But 6 episodes now with only 2 more to go, I'm sitting here like I feel like I'm watching a Marvel movie that I'm just getting to see everything that they came up with in the writing room.
It's like watching.
That would have been for a film, not for a show.
It's like watching a Marvel movie, but every 20 minutes you're taking like a break to talk about it. And it's like cool stuff's happening, but not really like, oh, like it's you know, it's fine, it's good.
Yeah.
The stuff the stuff he said about Zemo, I would almost say the exact same thing about Sharon, because she's even getting less. She's just like a new mysterious character. And like, is she the power broker? Is she not the power broker? Is she working for an organization that's going to be revealed? Like,
I'll certainly agree in this episode. I don't feel that way necessarily about the previous one, but certainly in this one, like every time we went to Sharon, I'm like, what is she doing other than like saying where John is?
Yeah.
The whole point of calling her in was to talk about satellites that could help them to figure out where the funeral was, because Zemo was withholding information, but Zemo just takes them to the funeral anyway. So yes. I don't know what that was for.
Exactly.
And then she's just looking at the satellites.
Yeah.
And then she has information about John Walker and she gives it, and that's what sends them on the call, which we'll get into how I feel like that scene was horribly rushed.
Yeah.
It's so frustrating. I think the only reason I get so critical and picky about it is because I'm enjoying what's here, but the point is that I'm supposed to be getting more of it.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm only getting the slim pickings, which is the whole point of having a show.
Yeah. I do think the stuff with Sam and Karli is really good.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff again, like with John, like all kind of like the middle stuff, I don't have super much of a problem with, except for like the Sharon stuff. But yeah, it's starting now that we're episode 4. I'm like, all right, now I'm starting to feel how are we going to wrap all of this up in 2 hours, in like in an hour and a half.
I mean, you summed it up really well, that like it's John Walker is a big part of this problem, is that he goes from 0 to 60 on this turn of character development. And the thing is that, like, in a movie that would be fine. And if this were a Marvel movie and that's how much time we got with John Walker and then he did this, I'd be like, totally get it.
Yeah, like 2/3 of the way through the movie.
Totally here. Like, this feels like the end of the second act of the film.
Absolutely.
And that's where it feels like we're at. And I'd be like, if I was watching the movie in theaters, I'd be like, good call. Yeah, dope. Well done. All that good stuff. But they didn't have to rush it.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing, is that I shouldn't feel like on this show, with much more time allotted to the story, that John Walker's turn feels rushed.
Yeah.
But it does. It feels rushed. It feels like we just breeze past it. And I could even see an argument for, like, there wasn't a lot more to develop with him, but I don't really buy it.
I don't either.
Part of my thing is that comes up in this episode is that there's this part where they're at the graveyard, Karli and her friend, and they're talking about Captain America and the idealism around him.
How he was his hero.
Yes, and he looked up to him, which is a great moment. He looked up to him, and he's looking up to him when he's dead. Yeah.
That's so sad.
But that's a great moment. But that conversation turns from talking about super soldiers and what Steve represented as a super soldier into talking about the shield as a symbol. And I'm like, that doesn't make a ton of sense. I don't know why Karli cares about the shield as a symbol, because they haven't done enough to tell us why she should.
Yeah.
I figured out on the second viewing what it is. John Walker is supposed to be the poster child of the GRC.
Yeah.
We only get that one shot of him jumping out of a van to make that connection, though. But he's supposed to be that guy. He's supposed to be the guy going around the world right now as the GRC is here to help. And we need more of that propaganda.
100%. Yeah,
and it's just not there. So to me, it came out of left field. Like, why is Karli talking about the shield? Like, I understand why. It's because we're doing a thing about, like, the shield and who's.
It doesn't make sense why she would be, though.
But why would she be? But it does if we address the fact that John Walker, who we should be seeing a little bit more of doing this, is the guy going around representing the GRC in the rest of the world.
Man,
that would make a lot of sense.
Release the Walker cut, am I right?
Because this is why she's saying, I want to kill the guy who's hiding behind the shield, the guy who's hiding behind that symbol, because he's full of crap, because he's representing the GRC.
Yeah.
That would make sense. But we just don't have that. Like, we do, it's there, but it's really minusculely there.
Yeah. No, one of the scenes I absolutely adored while watching this up, because I do agree with you, Sparks, because this was definitely the episode where it did feel like a super long Marvel movie. Like, there are parts where they just, like, kept going through they were like going from scene to scene to scene. It's like, oh yeah, this is just like a Marvel movie, but it's a TV show, and we only have an hour. Like, so I love the scene where Sam is talking to Karli. I think that's a really good scene where we kind of see what's going on with Karli, and also kind of bit where she's like, no, you're trying to twist my words. You're saying that I'm just like the people you're trying to destroy. He's like, yeah, but you kind of are.
She blew up. She killed people. Absolutely.
Yeah, she's killing people. But at the same time, I would have loved a little bit more of an interaction between John and Bucky when they're waiting to give Sam more time. Because that just feels like, this is probably gonna sound dumb, but it's like, how exactly can John get past Bucky when Bucky has a vibranium arm and has super soldier serum, and he just walks in to bust Karli? It's like
I agree with you, Ben. And what bums me out is that the logic that they're giving us is that John Walker plays he's going to die in there and his blood's going to be on your hands. You can't trust him in this situation. It's too dangerous. He plays that card on Bucky. We're left on Bucky kind of thinking about that. And then we do see them burst into the room. So the implication is he didn't have to get past Bucky. Bucky let him go because he thought Sam was in danger. And I'm like, I just don't buy that. I don't buy that for a second. That doesn't make any sense.
Bucky trusts at this point, I'm supposed to believe that Bucky trusts Sam. Like, that's the whole reason that this interaction even happened, because Sam's the guy who can talk down the supervillain or whatever. And I'm just like, there needed to be at least a little more confrontation. Like, I get like, oh, like, do you want your friend to die? I'm like, no, I don't, but I also trust my friend.
Yeah. I just, there's so
certain little writing things where I'm like, I feel like you guys are like, you have a grasp on the characters 95% of the time. Then there's one thing we're getting, like with the seat thing. And I'm like Bucky would have moved the seat because that's character development.
Yeah.
I'm like, I just sometimes you guys just miss it a little bit, just little bits here and there. Zemo, I think Zemo still rules as a character. That dude's hilarious and fun. The Turkish Delights is silly. Then a callback to making it really like scary with the kids. It's awesome. Zemo being still like the insane killer that we saw in Civil War, while also being this new, like, I'm hilarious and silly. I'm still really digging how much he's adding to the plot, whatever, but like, he's the most fun I'm having in the show, kind of. So
no, for sure. Like it's so, like, that's the thing is that, and I really gotta stress this because I know like, you know, if Brandon were here, I know he's hot on the show, and I'm not putting down the show.
Neither am I,
because I think it's so.
I criticize the things I like.
I love it. The thing is that, like, I love it so much, and I think it's so close to being solid as hell.
Yeah,
and it's falling short. And it shouldn't be falling short because it's a show. These are the criticisms I should have if I was watching a movie and I'm watching a show and I'm like, I shouldn't feel like Zemo is distracting. I should feel like it's perfectly like paced out and things are getting developed well. Because I shouldn't have these issues. I shouldn't feel like for the past 2 episodes, Bucky and Sam's evolving relationship has more or less been put on the back burner and isn't even relevant or developing in the scenes that they're in. It's not shifting in a direction. They're just there. We're not watching
progress.
them. We're not watching them move with the emotion of what happened the last time they privately interacted, which, let's remember, was Sam saying, let's do this and then never ever see each other ever again. That should still be weighing on every moment that's happening between the two.
They should be building.
Yes. And again, like, if this were a movie, it would make sense that we're not focusing on that because it's going to come up in the 3rd act. But this is a show and it's 2 episodes. And I feel like there should have at least been a scene that has them where something of the nature of their relationship should be moving in a direction.
Yeah, it's really funny because like there are a lot of characters that we're following, and with a TV show, you think we'd have enough time, but for some reason, you don't.
It's because it's 6 episodes.
It's only 6 episodes,
I think they went for an idea, which is this was the statement back then, was this will be like a long Marvel movie.
Yeah.
Well, it is. You're correct.
And it is
right. And it is not like a show.
I'm just thinking,
and I'm a little bummed about it.
I'm thinking of a show that we're watching right now, Invincible, and that is also an hour-long superhero show. And how we're 5 episodes in, and how so much stuff has happened in that show, and so much progress. And I'm not comparing them because they're very vastly different things. But I'm like, man, it doesn't really feel like a TV show. It's just like a long ass. It's the director's cut of a movie. And I'm like,
which I really like.
Yeah, absolutely.
that's the bummer.
I'm super curious. I'm very curious. If we saw this before WandaVision, would we be more critical or less critical? I'm very curious.
I have no idea.
If this came out,
Falcon Winter Soldier,
it was originally supposed to come out before WandaVision.
Right.
So if we were getting this more traditional, it's a Marvel movie, I think I might be even more critical on it, if I'm being honest. Because I know now that WandaVision's out, like, I don't know.
I definitely sit here I definitely sit here feeling like I'm not comparing it necessarily to WandaVision. I'm comparing it to like the Netflix shows.
Yeah,
honestly,
yeah.
Like that's kind of the barometer I'm going to, and I think those things are, for the most part, except for the later seasons where they shorten them to 10 episodes, too long.
Yeah.
But
like Daredevil season 3.
But I also feel like the characters are properly explored, and all the threads that they introduce run their gamut. I'll even argue that I think Jessica Jones' first season, regardless of its length, is pretty freaking solid through and through.
Oh yeah.
Everything is developed in its proper pacing and way, and it feels like every little nugget of it is getting squeezed out so that I can fully immerse myself in who these characters are and what they're doing.
Yeah.
And then I come to WandaVision, and that's where I'm not feeling like I'm getting all those things. And really, it does feel like there's just one too many balls in the air right now.
Yeah.
And most people have been calling out that it's Zemo, even though he's one of the better part of the shows, and it's a ton of fun to have him, and it's a lot of fun to watch him, and I wouldn't change him being there.
Yeah.
He is the thing that is distracting from the concept of what is Karli and the Flagsmashers, Sam and Bucky, and John Walker. That is your main focus, and Zemo is kind of throwing the thematic.
He's the wild card
beat, even though he has an opinion. And look, he has a great scene where he says the concept of a super soldier automatically leads to supremacy. Really, really good and on topic and on point. But there's just so much of him that throws part of the show off from focusing on the characters we need to develop.
Yeah. I agree. The scene where he sees like all of he immediately sees Karli and just shoots her. I think that's great. Again, like that shows like Zemo he hasn't changed. He still is the soldier that he's always has been. And then he sees the serum, and that supersedes even killing her. He's like, this is my goal in life, is to stop this shit. So he just like, forget the girl, starts smashing vials, and I'm like, God, you are so one track minded. It's so great. And then Karli gets to escape. Okay, so I really, really wish. I love the John Walker getting the serum. Like I like how getting the shield thrown into the wall is the first time we see it. I just feel like there's stuff missing in between for me.
I actually realized in the second viewing that the real first hint is that he just crashes through a door with the shield.
Oh, he does that
super
too.
strength.
That's true.
Like
I just figured it was brittle.
It was the shield that really threw you and I into a. Oh, he did it! That crazy son of a bitch! He did it.
So. My thing with the serum, and this isn't a super big deal. Karli and all the super soldiers took it, and it's supposed to amplify who they already are, right?
Right.
So Karli's killing people, so she's a bad person, right? If she were a good person like Steve Rogers, I don't think she would not be killing people. Right?
Okay. There's a lot to unpack about like morality there.
Yes, I'm talking on the base what the movie the show's giving us.
So what the premise is that it makes what's there more.
Yes.
So bad becomes worse, good becomes great.
Yeah.
Karli, yes, she killed people, but it's not where she started. And she's not unhinged.
No.
So I would make it like it's not great that she kills people. I don't want to make that argument.
No.
But the contention is Karli believes in something that she's doing to help people and is right. She has made serious actions in a negative way. It doesn't mean that she is too far gone because of the serum. You know, the serum hasn't pushed her into Red Skull territory. Like that's not what we're looking at. She is a person living in circumstances that have her conflicted. This is part of the show that this is the part of the episode that I really liked. I did feel like Karli got fleshed out in a really solid way. She is a person there's this great line, not from her, but from another guy who says, we're not refugees, we're internationally displaced persons. And this is where God, do I wish there was more of this in the show, but it's there. If you really are paying attention and getting every word, it's there that they're saying, the borders went up and people who had moved and created communities outside of the places they lived before because they were living in countries that wouldn't let them go to these other places. Now they're in those other places, but because the old world order before the blip wants to restore itself, they're being forced out of their homes onto the streets and back to their countries if they can. But if they're not being pushed back to their countries, they're just living in the situations that Karli and the Flagsmashers are living in. Mm-hmm. And that's what Karli's fighting against. Karli's fighting against the fact that we built a community for 5 years and you're just telling us that the home we created isn't our home now.
Yeah.
And she fundamentally believes in that idea. And it's a good reason to be doing what she's doing in the sense of pushing back against the system of the GRC, trying to help people get medicine, all these things that the GRC is not helping with.
Yeah, I get that part.
So in that sense of that existing, no, I don't think the serum has pushed Karli to the bad to worse scenario. I think it has pushed complicated into more complicated.
Okay.
Because I think Karli is a direct representation of like a person with a goodwill, but also a person who has been wronged and has power to fix wrongs.
Yeah.
And where is that line? Especially for someone in her position, someone who has no experience in being militaristic or anything like that. Where is the line when you're just trying to protect the people that you care about?
Yeah.
Like Sam even tells her when he's having the one-on-one with her, is like, look, I agree with your fight. I just don't like how you're fighting it.
Right.
Yeah.
So
and again, like that all comes down to that bombing moment, because prior to that, Sam wouldn't have had as much of an issue. Yes, they have the super soldier serum, but they're taking medicine. So I mean, like, it becomes like it is a fight of morality, and that's why Sam going to talk to Karli is such a good beat.
Yeah.
And it's because Karli is still reachable. Even in the moment where Karli reaches out, she's still reachable.
I definitely needed that, because I know we talked about it a lot last episode.
Yeah.
I definitely like that, like, this actress, she's very young. She's like 21. She was like a teenager when she made Solo. And now she's like, so like, I like that it's this young revolutionary or terror, whatever you want, whatever they call it. Like I do agree she is a good person. And I needed this scene of saying like, you're going about the wrong ways, meaning like, this isn't who she is. Because otherwise, like, I feel like that would have been it was a big red flag for all of us.
Well, I think that they know what they're doing with her, which is nice. I just wish there was more, but it's nice that they know what they're doing with her, because they have that whole bit where he's talking to her about how Zemo calls her a supremacist and how the language that she instinctually responds to his criticisms with sounds super supremacist, and she recognizes it, and she's like, "Oh no, that's not
who I
tricked
am."
me into saying that." And it's like, and that's where the position of power gets complicated. But Karli can recognize that it's not black and white, and she's trying to find her way in it.
So the new super soldier serums, you don't need a needle; you can just drink it up, and it's good to go. That's what John did.
I thought there was like a needle thing on there. I don't know.
Just a little serum bottle, just a little bottle.
Yeah, well, serum bottle, but also there's a part of the cap where the cap's like pointed, where I think there was a needle inside. I don't know. I didn't know.
I know what you're talking about, Ben. It could go either way.
It's not an actual question, but like I just know like Steve Rogers had to do a whole thing. I know.
Well, because the scientist said he streamlined.
Yeah.
He said I didn't want it to have big clunky machinery or giant muscles.
That's true.
My serum is more subtle.
That's true. So I guess you can just.
So you're not supposed to like bulk up in any way or anything like that. You just get it.
Okay.
You just like roll your arm up, or just like stick it in your leg and push down or something.
There you go. All right then. The fight with John and Battlestar was there too, right? Battlestar and the Dora Milaje, sick as hell. No complaints. Like
I love how of course the Dora Milaje comes for Zemo, and then John Walker and Battlestar come for Zemo, and then they start yelling at each other and they start fighting, and then Bucky gets involved. They all start fighting, and Zemo is just literally in the corner, and he slowly thinks, "I think it's time for me to leave," and he just bounces. I thought it was so funny how everyone else, like when I was like, "Hey, we got off on the wrong phone," it's like pats her, and she's like, "Oh, F this," and kicks his ass, and the fight starts. And everyone's started fighting, and he's just like,
"Listen, he's a smart guy. He like I don't. There's no reason for me to be here. Bye. I'll catch up with you guys later." I
love Bucky having no respect for John.
Yeah,
just when he's getting his ass beat by the Dora, he's like looking strong, John.
Yeah, good.
Great. Man, John Walker.
Should you help him? He's like, nah.
There's one shot of I think it's Io. She does like this spin in midair with her spear, and I'm like, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen. Oh my god, like that's so sick. And John just gets his ass kicked, and he's so sad.
Some of the best lines in this show are in this episode.
This was also written by Derek Kolstad from the last episode as well. The John Wick guy still has some good. Even though he didn't direct this episode, like the action is just like these two episodes have had like the best action. His influence is there for sure.
Yeah. One of my favorite lines, I think, from this whole episode is when John bursts in right before the Dora get there, and he's like coming to take Zemo, and he's like, "Look, man, shield or no shield, the only thing you're running in here is your mouth."
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my god, just put John Walker in his place.
Yeah.
Dude.
And then he does, and then he has like the saddest line of like, "They weren't even super soldiers." And then
go kick your ass.
that is one way to like amplify your need to become more powerful.
Sam even told him, he's like, you probably would rather fight Bucky right now than go toe to toe with the Dora, and he does it anyway.
Oh yeah,
God, he's so condescending the way he just puts his hand down on her shoulder. He's like, God, this guy has like no respect for international boundaries.
Again, on Twitter, I saw like comparison posts of the two Captain Americas. Every time Steve Rogers introduced himself, he says, "Hi, my name's Steve. I'm Steve Rogers." And every time John introduces himself, "My name's John, Captain America." Every single time. He always says, "I'm Captain America," because he's so full of himself.
Right.
Man,
as if the costume doesn't tell them. Yeah.
100%. Yeah. Everyone knows he's full of it. Now the whole world knows he's extra full of it. The MCU doesn't really get bloody. And I think this final image is like iconic. Like, it's so good. Like, that's something you see like in a final page of a comic. You're like, oh shit. Rest in peace, Battlestar. Sorry, guy.
Yeah, and Karli's friend.
Oh yeah, the Captain.
Killed each other's best friends.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. Yeah. Yeah, that guy who got killed by Captain America grew up loving Captain America. How sad is that? That's such a good little moment.
Yeah, that was just seeing John go full unhinged and using the shield to kill someone. I was like, dude.
Some of my favorite music from the MCU is the Civil War theme, like the sad theme, and like it comes back in here, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like it's his breakdown moment. And he does like the Steve Rogers thing, except he does the bad version of it where he actually kills a guy. Good little symmetry there between the two Caps. Good music. I think this is definitely, with caveats again, like this is definitely my favorite episode.
This, I would say, yeah, this is definitely my favorite so far, because it does explore a lot of good stuff. You get to see more into Karli's psyche. You get to see John fully like going down the dark path that we all know he's going down. But I do agree, Ryan, with the last shot of the show with I'm just gonna call him US Agent, with US Agent holding the shield and blood is on it. It's like, oh, like there's
not even like a remorse on his face when he's strapping the shield back on. He's just like,
I did what I had to do.
Good. And then he realizes that people are watching him. And he's like, oh shit.
Yeah, he just murdered a dude in international soil as Captain America with everyone watching with cameras. Like, oh, explain this one, Johnny.
With Steve's shield.
With Steve's shield.
Killed him with Steve's shield. That is
There's an argument to be made about how much is that Steve's shield. We'll never know, but I know what you mean.
Yeah.
We got the real one here for you. I love Zemo being like a little finger, like with his little birds, like giving Turkish delights to kids to get answers and stuff. That the scene with Karli at that funeral was really sweet. You know, talking about how this lady was here for all of us and we are one people, one world. Like that's all really good character stuff. I'm at the point now where like I'm starting to like Karli. Like, all right, she's conflicted. Like she's not good or bad. Like she's on the road. I'm like, I hope they stick with this because I think they got something really good that they were able to flip from the last episode. And I'm really worried because like we have to come back to the Bradleys, right? We have to do something with that. You can't just introduce that. I mean, they really could, I guess, and not do anything with the Black Captain America. But I feel like you have to tee that up. It doesn't
feel like there's a lot of room for it right now.
It doesn't feel like there's a lot of room for it because there's so much other stuff. Like Sharon has like, what is Sharon doing? She's like, people think she's a power broker. When I first watched it, she's wearing a necklace that looks like the sword necklace.
It's not a necklace. It's
not even a necklace.
Sweater hoodie, and the zipper is a big circle that came down over the line.
Oh, it's so funny.
And so Ryan thought it was the sword necklace that Monica had, and it did look like it. But I had to watch it again, and I was like, oh no, it's not.
So she's not working for Sword because she's working for someone. She obviously has a lot of power. She has a lot of people working for her. She has like a complex, right, that she goes to. Mm-hmm. So like either she's working for some organization or she's working with or against the power broker. But like, I just like, what you doing, girl? What are you doing? I need to know. There's not a lot of room left.
Yeah, not a lot of runway left on that strip.
Yeah, Bucky gets his arm taken off.
Oh yeah,
I love that part. I love that where she just goes like tap 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 tap, and then his arm just falls off. It's like,
oops, the safety protocol. Yeah.
Yeah, smart. I thought that there was a lot of strong stuff. I think I would probably agree. Like this is overall my favorite episode. I really do hope that they can pull Karli and the Flagsmashers out of the fire, like make it clear that you know, their revolutionary action is overall a good, and the GRC's actions that they're fighting about are overall a bad, and that we need to see it that way.
Yeah. I don't need, because he is the wild card of the show, but like I don't need to know what Zemo's like end game motivations are. He's still the same character, like, oh, I want to get rid of super soldiers. But I'm curious, like, what is his trajectory? Because I guess like, he doesn't need to have one again. This isn't his show. But I'm just wondering, like, what do you want to do now? Like, are you just going to hang out with these guys until the show's over? Like, I don't see like an end goal. I guess again, that's like weird setup stuff that I don't need. I just feel like he's just in the show, kind of like, yep, I'm here. Here I am.
Yo, I 100% think he was going to drug them with the tea.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
And then Bucky smashes it, and he's like, "Would you like some tea?" And he's like, "No."
Oh, that is good. Right.
I 100% think that, because prior to that moment, he tells the kids like, "These men are bad. Don't tell them anything." And then later, he decides to take them to the funeral anyway.
Yeah.
So I think he was going to go by himself originally,
and just kill them all.
But it didn't work out.
Yeah. That's smart.
I really, really love this detail, which is at the beginning of the episode, that this is personal for Io, because she was the Dora Milaje guard for King T'Chaka and King T'Challa in Civil War. Yeah. She was the person who was there, and so having Zemo free really pisses her specifically off. I thought that was a really nice touch.
That was.
So some lore stuff that we got, like there's this part where the Flagsmashers are hanging out in like their camp or something, and we're hearing the radio. There's this thing called the Patch Act that the GRC is enforcing, which is basically designed to restore borders of the old world quickly. They are trying to push everyone back into their countries very fast, is what is said. And also,
sounds awful.
And also that the violent act committed by Karli has drawn more followers to the Flagsmashers.
Yeah.
Committing that violence did get them a bigger following, which is, you know, what we kind of discussed was probably going to be the way they went with it. I'm looking at anything else that we didn't cover in my notes. But I'm really glad that, like, I wish that there was more of that GRC exploration, especially with John Walker as their figurehead, their mascot.
This little scene's cool that I have right here with she kicks up the shield real nice and just like hands it to John, like, what's up, loser? Here you go. Yeah. Here's your lunch, nerd.
John Walker just always coming in way too hot. Always on the wrong
Karli,
side.
You're under arrest
of every fight. Even just like marching down the street at them, and he's like, "All right, this is done. Give us Zemo." Like, what's up?
All right, fun's over. The one scene with Battlestar and John when they're talking about their military past, where they got 3 medals of honor on the worst day of their life. I'm not big on the military. War crimes are bad. Sometimes people got to do really shitty things to survive, and like that is a character aspect that I really like. That it's so Battlestar and John come from the same place, but they're going about it different ways. Battlestar seems like a good dude. He seems like if he took the serum, he'd probably be all right. John, on the other hand, like that unfortunately got to him a little worse, it seems like.
Yeah.
Hoskins has this line where he says, he's asked if he would take the serum. And he's like, power just makes you more of who you are.
He's like, hell yeah, I'm the best.
And I'm
dude.
like, that's not the way to think about this.
No,
Lamar. Power does not just make you more of who you are. That's not. Ooh.
I feel like his first week would be really good.
Just makes a person more themselves. That's what he says. They talk about the Afghanistan stuff was filled. John Walker says that, nothing we did over there was right to earn those medals.
Yeah.
And at the same time, Hoskins' response to that is, man, can you imagine how many lives we would have saved if we had that serum? And I'm like, wait, you did things wrong, but are you saying if you had the serum, you would have saved more American soldier lives?
I don't know.
And still done the wrong things?
Maybe more war crimes? Who knows?
Like, I'm a little confused on that one, because he's coming right out of a moment where he's saying, nothing we did over there was right. And it's like, yeah, we could have saved a lot of lives with that serum. Yeah. And it's like, wait.
I'm trying.
I don't suspect you're saying like, oh, we would have revolted against the orders that we had to save more lives if we had the serum.
I'm in my positive heart trying to put this in a good scenario.
Sure.
Because in real life, there's no way it's a good scenario.
No.
So I gotta make it fake and real.
That was an interesting one.
Yeah. It's a good just look into the characters is what it is.
These two things are tied together. So Another one of my favorite lines in the episode is Sarah's, which is, "My world doesn't matter to America, so why should I care about its mascot?" Bam! Great line.
Take that, brother.
Yeah. Same time, we also had this discussion where we're like, how does Karli know all this about Sarah? Like, we're never given the window into how she has these kind of resources.
Hackers.
And I'm still wanting to know a little bit more about how she could do it. I do kind of wish I understood how she knew where the serum was, how she got it. Like, there's no direct connection from internationally displaced person suddenly knows where super soldier serum is, going to get it, has the resources to know all this.
Could she be working with Sharon? Is that, I haven't even considered that, but is that something that like Sharon's secretly working with her?
That would be interesting.
Because Sharon has satellites and shit.
I guess it's possible. I did make that connection that like Sharon has satellite information, so it kind of makes sense. She has this line earlier which Sam doesn't even take too seriously in the moment, which is the people I'm fighting are trying to take your home, Sam. Which means she knows about what's going on with him in the bank, and I'm like, how does Karli?
She's working with Sarah.
And also Sam didn't give a shit that she knew that in that moment. But then she calls Sarah later and specifically describes the porch and all that stuff. And I'm like, yo, I get it, but like, how do you know this?
that's very kind of super villainy, but it's fine. It's fine. Just light intimidation. I get it.
Yeah, I accept the fact that like I do think she went too far when she brings up the boys and all that.
That feels like Lex Luthor.
I think she could have left it at she says, "Why do you need me to tell him this?" And then Karli says that because I need him to understand that my message is real.
Yeah.
And I think she could have left it at that and then meet up and Sam's like, "You call my sister, my boys, my nephews, that's how we're going to do this." And she's like, "Sam, I would never hurt them. I just need you to know that I'm serious."
Yeah.
And I feel like that's true from Karli, but like she didn't need to bring up the boys and make it so scary.
She didn't need to.
Yeah, it's definitely like walking that line of like how much is power going to your head kind of thing.
Well, so during that whole scene where she's talking to Sarah, I was like, oh, she's like really going down like the super soldier, or not super soldier, like the super villain path of like, hey, tell your brother to find, this is where you can meet me, or you and I are gonna have a little chat, and that's not gonna go very nice. And then when she says, "Oh, I'll never hurt them," I'm like, I don't know. I feel like you could if you really wanted to.
Again, I like what they're doing. It's like I'm supposed to be conflicted on this character of like, oh, is she like how good is she? How bad is she? But like I'm more almost just kind of, I'm not confused. I'm just like, I need more because I don't think you're executing it well enough for me.
And so this really comes back to the whole thing that like Karli says in that last scene very explicitly, and she kind of hints at it before, but like her goal has suddenly become to kill John Walker, has become to kill Captain America. And we don't know why. Like, it's not really laid out other than like him interfering with her in this episode. But the reality is that he's the GRC poster boy. And we don't have all the information to connect that to have made this a clear conflict of like, why is she dead set on killing him? Why does she hate the symbol so much?
Yeah.
Why does she hate what he's hiding behind? Because she's saying to Sam, I don't want to kill you. You're not hiding behind some symbol that's a tool for the regimes I'm trying to take down. Like, I want to kill John Walker because that's the problem.
A lot of these problems, all it takes is like one line of like, you know, you want to go after the GRC, you go after the captain, or just something like that. Sure. Like you go after the poster boy, like you said, like, and then I'm like, okay, I get why you want to do this. But you're just kind of doing it.
They've left those two elements outside again of that one shot of him hopping out of the ice style van,
which was like very quickly. And if you weren't even paying attention, like, oh, you missed it.
And like the GRC promo that hasn't really left enough of an impact in my opinion. Like, I'm glad, like, it's nice that they did it, but like I need the connective tissue. Like, John Walker should have been part of that promo.
We need way more propaganda.
Yes, exactly. To connect John Walker to the GRC so that we understand Karli fighting the GRC is also Karli fighting him.
Absolutely.
And that's what I feel is like so desperately not connecting in there. And I do wish there was more of. Also, like that scene is a little rushed. It's a little bizarre how quickly they're having a conversation, but they find out where John Walker is, and that's important to Karli. So she kicks Bucky because they're going to where John Walker is, and I'm like, why are you kicking people who are I don't understand what the.
Oh no, is that the scene where where like Bucky's on like the second floor and she like jumps down to tackle him. It's pretty sick, but I also agree.
They just jump to violence so quickly. I'm like, you guys were just having a conversation. All of a sudden they know where John Walker is, so Karli has to go beat up Bucky. Like, I'm like, why aren't you all just running to the same place together or whatever?
It's a good question.
They don't have clear conflicting interests yet at that moment. So I was like, that's a little bizarre.
And I feel like they're gonna end up teaming up together at the end anyway.
Yeah.
And I did like, if you're gonna build to that, like do it I don't know, better.
But yeah, that's overall how I felt about that. But yeah, still great episode.
Yeah, I'm still like, I know we sound super critical, but like that's just because like we like this stuff and we know what it can be. And like this definitely feels like, it's their first outing. They're figuring it out. Feels like a long phase 1 movie.
I like it so much. I just want more of what they're giving me.
100%.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Any more thoughts, Mr. Benjamin?
Nah, I'm actually I'm good. I'm not gonna lie, after going through the show, once we get to the end, it's like, it wasn't one of those like, oh my god, I need to find out what happens next. Like with WandaVision, there are times where it's like, okay, I want to see it's like, okay, I'm intrigued. Whereas at the end of this episode, it's like, I need to see the fallout. I need to see what's going on, how the GRC is going to react, how Sam and Bucky are going to react, how pretty much, part of me kind of wants to see John Walker get yelled at by that one dude who was at the ceremony. I want to see like he was part of the DOD, where he like shakes Sam's hand, was like, "Thank you for returning the shield, Sam. It was the right thing to do." And then later in the episode, he's like, "Here's your new Captain America." So part of me wants to see John just get grilled by that guy.
You think? Go ahead.
And then just like slowly but surely becoming U.S. agent.
Do you think that John even allows himself to go back into like any amount of American legislation? Because he's got to know on some level his number's up. Like he goes back, they take the shield.
I imagine
it's done.
I do imagine that Ben's right. There will be a meeting where they'll like the big wigs will like, John, you've gone too far, blah, blah, and he'll just be in his super soldier mode and I'll disregard it. And he will be a vigilante Captain America, whether it's U.S. agent or I'm speculating that it's going to do the comics route go opposite, and he's going to become the super patriot, which he is the super villain that he originally was before he became Captain America in the comics. Because U.S. agent he's still working for the government as U.S. agent. Like he's still like a quote unquote good guy. They could do something different. I guess that's cool as well.
Because I wonder if like now they'll move him to like they'll publicly step him down out of Captain America, because you can't after what was just recorded on phones and shared everywhere. But they'll Black Ops him for the GRC.
Oh yeah, maybe then they could turn into the U.S. agent. Yeah,
because they still want Karli caught.
That's
still want all that stopped, and they'll send John.
Like John, like listen, like too crazy. We got to put you.
This definitely feels like one of those scenes where we're gonna get. How dare you do this in public?
Yes.
And we'll be like, oh no.
He's gonna do like a very public, like, I'm very sorry. I was doing this for America. I was just doing what I thought was right. And then he's going to be a Black Ops dude, like still killing fools.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Like they'll do everything they can to probably label Karli's friend as this dangerous criminal, which is going to push Karli more
100%.
into the extremism. Like she even has a line in this where she says like we stand up just a little bit and they call us criminals for it.
I honestly, thinking about it, that's actually a good point. I wouldn't be shocked if there aren't bigger ramifications. I wouldn't be shocked if like after
that's the problem.
That's the problem. And he's just going to be even more and more evil or whatever. And then he's just going to snap and do something really bad. Not that this wasn't bad killing someone, obviously, but on TV, he's fighting a terrorist and he killed a terrorist. So technically that can be considered a win, right? So like maybe they'll reverse it and he won't get any backlash at all, which would be even worse.
I feel like the only way that Sam can be Captain America after this, for the end of the show, is that the world has to see him in conflict with John Walker be on the side of right.
Yeah.
Against what John Walker's doing.
Yeah.
It feels like that's how it has to go at this point.
Like John Walker's at the Capitol doing something nuts and Sam comes in and saves him. Yeah. I will say for my final thoughts, like this finale episode, the finale of like the Shield, I'm like, okay, this is like the first finale. I'm like, all right, cool. Like I want to see immediately what happens next. Cause I'm very interested.
Sam is protecting innocent people from John and getting his ass kicked because he's not a super soldier.
Yeah.
But he's still, I could do this all day.
Oh, God.
Dude. And people see it and they're like, oh, no, that's Captain America.
If he says that line, I'm going to lose it.
If he does, if Sam gets
I want to do a guy who could do it all day. I could do it too. Hell yeah.
Part of me hopes for that. I could see them weaving that in very well. Yeah, I hope that happens. I hope Sam says it. That'd be great.
I believe it. He's gonna pick up a trash can.
Because I mean, like, what is the more inspirational thing to do than to have him go back to exactly what Steve did when Steve first said the line, which is that he was getting beat up by a dude who he could not match in strength.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be what John Walker is. And you know, you can even have Bucky still come in and save his butt, just like Steve happened to Steve in the original.
Oh yeah, it'll probably be like a 2-on-1 fight, if anything. Yeah. Like at the end of Civil War. Yeah,
I'm into it.
Can't wait for next week, baby.
All right, everyone.
Wow.
I think that'll do it. Oh man, Brandon's not here. We gotta end this. Okay. So that's it. You'll see us next week for another Falcon and Winter Soldier. We're gonna keep on rolling. Maybe Brandon will be back with us for that one, hopefully. And we'll talk it out and we'll have a great time.
Heck yeah.
But until then, we just did, because when this comes out, we just did a discussion on
Mortal Kombat.
Sorry.
Both of the original Mortal Kombat films, the live action ones, Mortal Kombat Annihilation. We did a whole discussion with that with Brandon for the Fake Nerd podcast, and you can go check that out and give it a listen if you're interested, because that Mortal Kombat film is coming. Looking ahead at that, our next conversation, if you want to check out Fake Nerd podcast, is going to be all about video game movies in general and what are the best, the worst, and the worst of the worst.
Spoiler alert: the best list is very short. The worst one is very long.
That's definitely true.
Dude,
So we're going to be doing that, and you can check that out. And if you want more of this, we've done WandaVision. If you're just going through WandaVision for the first time, or you want to go back and hear what we had to say about it, that's there.
Spoilers
of other shows.
Mephisto.
Spoilers, Mephisto. So you can check that out. We've got some Basement Arcade pause menu, a recent one from Ben where they talked about video game anniversaries is up.
Yeah.
We just put up a Fake Nerd book club for our last one for Lil Char and the gang, and that's available. And you can check that out. That's all here on our YouTube channel.
Doing great.
You can follow us at Fake Nerd Podcast on all social media. You can contact us. You can go to fakenerdpodcast.com to check out all our TeePublic, all our Patreon and all that kind of stuff. You can enjoy all that. And if you want to get a hold of us personally, I'm at SparksWitty on Instagram and Twitter. Ryan?
I'm at DJ Tony Snark everywhere.
Ben?
I'm still in shock that the Captain America killed a guy in cold blood in some country that I don't know of at BenMagnet27 on Instagram and Twitter.
Latvia. It's real.
Latvia. That's where it was.
It's funny because Latvia, very similar to Latveria. And then people are like, which one's real and which one's fake? And I'm like, oh boy, we should go back to school.
Okay, so I could have swore when it said Latvia, I was like, did it say, oh, there's no R?
No, trust me, I was also like, no.
Excuse me, where?
No. We all know Sokovia, the failed state of Sokovia is becoming Latveria. That's clearly in the books for the Lord Kevin Feige.
Oh my gosh.
Man, I cannot wait.
Boy. Does that mean Zemo and Doom go head-to-head over that one because he's Baron now? I don't know.
You can't just put that in my brain.
Sorry, baby. Yeah.
Political show.
I hope that's where Zemo goes next.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that'll do it for us. So we'll see you next time. And until then, stay fake nerds. Lay down. Okay, this is fine then.
You beautiful baby.
Oh, Luna.
You're precious.
Are you going to go with mom now, or are you going to stay here?
Luna, come on.
Okay. Yeah, good choice. She just turned around on the bed.
She's like, no, I'm just going to chill here.
You want to stay here or you want to go downstairs? You want to come downstairs? Let's go downstairs.
Cool. Dog's like, I'm just happy to be here.
Okay. Good timing to get that done. All right. I can go ahead and intro this one.
Hell yeah, baby.
All right.
Okay.
Are you playing with my dice?
Yes.
I put those dice in a box so you wouldn't touch them. But you don't care. You can sense them.